Where have all the men gone? That's the focus of tonight's angle. Now, once relegated to women's studies classrooms and college campuses, the phrase toxic masculinity entered our cultural vernacular a few years ago. Now, this was around the time that the American Psychological Association jumped in to warn that males who socialize to conform to traditional masculinity ideology are often negatively affected in terms of mental and physical health. Well, the argument is that boys are conditioned to be tough and not show weakness. That's a bad thing, I guess. And then by suppressing boys' feelings, their emotions, then they're likely to be more prone to violence or aggression, more likely to end up in prison or in trouble at school. And people who work in gender studies programs, they're dead set against the old confining rules of masculinity. And you'll see this in a highly produced Hollywood conversation.
I think there's a model about being a real man in America. And I think sometimes that model is at more sort of stoic, hard, tough, etc. My friend Joe Ehrman, who used to be a professional football player, says that he remembers his father just saying to him, be a man. Man up. Toughen up. Don't be a girl.
This is how far we've fallen in America. Telling a boy not to be a girl, I guess, is now considered abusive. We're in an upside-down world, my friends, and I think more people now see right through the attempt that they're making to kind of wrap their attacks on traditional gender roles around an anti-bullying campaign. Well, that's absurd because real men do not bully, we know that. Real men don't beat their wives, we know that. Real men don't hurt animals or children, we know that. All decent people agree on that. And by the way, long before the phrase gender fluid popped up, good parents told their sons both to be a man and to be courageous, valiant, compassionate. Now, I heard my friend's father say, stop whining and be a man. Like he was complaining about something. He said it a lot, actually. It didn't hurt my buddy one bit. He's a great dad today. But today, the radical left has one goal in mind. It's to destroy the underpinnings of the nuclear family by targeting the distinct parental roles that fathers and mothers play. Ideally, come on, we all know this, it's better for children to be raised by a mother and a father who are present and involved. Now, we also all know that single moms and dads do their best, but it's much harder, God bless them all. And I say this as a single mom myself. Yet somehow, this idea of the traditional roles, it's threatening to the radicals who see the traditional family, especially traditionally minded men, as an impediment to the ultimate goal of the left of socialism and rewriting of American history. Now, remember, Black Lives Matter had the disruption of the nuclear family as one of its main goals. Now, the entertainment industry joined the anti-family, anti-masculinity crusade long ago. In television and films, male protagonists are often portrayed as kind of goofy, helpless, helpless saps or gender-fluid geniuses.
From the dance class to the ballroom. Oh! No touching! The battle line has been drawn! Yes! The floor work, darling!
I made a sign!
It's only been since Thanksgiving, but it feels like forever.
Newsflash for Hollywood. Women want men to be men. Obviously, they also want men to be honest and kind and sacrificial and humble as well. But as an old friend used to say, most women I know, even women who work outside the home, prefer a man who will protect, provide, and defend. And we don't want men who will elbow us out of the way to primp in the mirror, or men whose idea of a fun afternoon is getting a mani-pedi and a facial. No. Remember the man, by the way, the Obama people used in ads to push Obamacare? Well, even Morning Joe all those years ago couldn't stop laughing at him.
This guy
Which is funny.
like Jim Van Dyke. It looks like he's out of a bad Vampire Weekend video.
Of course, all the Pajama Boy fans are totally shocked that young men are flocking to non-effeminate men like Jordan Peterson, who wrote 12 Rules for Life. And they're especially furious that millions are tuning in to listen to manly men like Joe Rogan.
Toxic masculinity, that's a hilarious expression, because you need to thank toxic masculinity for all the bridges, all the jets, all the rockets, all this toxic masculinity. If you break down all the things that men have invented, and all these toxic men have prevented like you from being murdered in war and protected the country, and all the different things that you could attribute to toxic masculinity, most of it's positive.
That's why people listen to him. Now, the fact is, the natural instinct of most men is to protect women, but that's slowly being beaten out of them by angry feminists or overly feminine men who love submissive types. This seems especially to be the case in more liberal urban areas, and the consequences are horrifying. Now, something that happened in a Manhattan subway car when a woman told a perturbed African-American man to take a chill pill. Watch.
Say the word chill pill.
Oh. Listen, yo, you wildin'. She a female.
Mind your business.
What?
Mind your business. Say it.
That's OD.
Well, that went on and on, but notice what didn't happen. Not a single man on that train intervened. A more shocking incident took place in Philly last week when a woman was raped on the L train with other passengers aboard. Not a single one did anything to help her. And earlier this week in San Francisco, it was a young woman who chased down a man who pushed an elderly Asian lady to the ground. When the woman confronted the assailant, she was stabbed 3 times. Where were the men? Frankly, the mass feminization of men should trouble women the most. The victims in all those heinous attacks were women who were overpowered by bad men. And because the cultural elites and institutions have spent years villainizing masculinity, there were no good men willing to step in to save them. And that's the angle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.